Well, the 2022-2023 football season officially ends today on Super Bowl Sunday. For many sports betting fans, college hoops in February and March is one of the most exciting times in sports. Whether you love college hoops or just want to pad your bankroll heading into March Madness, we have the perfect special. Starting today, get the rest of February with any WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $149 each. So to finish off February for as little as $9 per day, head over to your favorite WagerTalk and or Sports Memo handicappers page and grab this limited time offer. This offer includes not only college basketball, but also any NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, golf, and NASCAR that your favorite WagerTalk and or Sports Memo expert handicaps. No coupon is needed. The earlier you sign up, the more days you get.
Hey guys, welcome in on a very happy Thursday now, the 23rd of February, as we're cruising along here. Final couple of weeks of the regular season, college basketball tournament time, and then of course the madness will begin. It is quite the card here tonight across the college basketball landscape. We're going to see if we can't find a couple of edges in a few of these marquee matchups tonight. We're going to do it, of course, with three of our favorites over at WagerTalk.com as the pen back in the saddle again. Ralph Michaels here, as is Dwayne Bryant, and the one and only Mr. Bryan Leonard. Ready to go here, guys, tonight. And the final push for a lot of these teams, a lot of bubble teams here. But some teams that absolutely need a couple of wins down the stretch, and we'll see if they can get them, Ralph. Was there any game in particular that you liked might be available up at WagerTalk.com tonight?
Yeah, in fact, while we're talking college basketball, my NBA, number one at WagerTalk the last 2 years, an 11-1 NBA run. Got an NBA play, an NHL play, 2 college sides, 2 college totals, all 6 games, $19.
See if I heard that right. It means you got a lot of shit rolling at WagerTalk.com. That's what I heard. Across the sports betting landscape, Ralph is locked and loaded tonight, guys. A lot happening. And yes, we will welcome the NBA back here for that final push as well. Dwayne, continuing to roll in college hoops, my man. Do you have anything on tonight's card available over at WagerTalk?
Yeah, I do have a 5% college basketball max bet for tonight. Ooh. It's available over at dbbets.com. It's a rare side play. I'm usually on totals, but I love how this game sets up. I did a lengthy write-up on it to explain the several reasons why I love this play. It includes a situational angle that's 10-0 against the spread this season. It includes an NCAA-wide situational angle that's 68% this season. My other 5 full game 5% max bets in college hoops went 4-1. All 4 wins were by double digits. So you can get that play over there now. I also have a March Madness special going on through Sunday. My last 4 March Madnesses, I finished number 1 twice and number 2 once. So if you use coupon code DB100, you can get my March Madness plays for $100 off at dbbets.com. And a little birdie told me that there was going to be a combo deal coming out soon for March Madness with me and Mr. Ralph Michaels there. I mentioned how I did the last few March Madnesses, but Ralph has done pretty well for himself. He finished in the top 6 each of the last 5 years in March Madness, including number 1 2 years ago and number 3 last year. So you're going to get both Ralph's and my March Madness plays at a huge discount. So be on the lookout for that special deal coming up soon over there at WagerTalk.com.
That's why he goes through all those pens, Dwayne, endorsing all those checks he makes. You know what I mean? Those pens ain't going to write themselves, man. Each and every March, you got to go through a whole litany of new pens there. And Bryan Leonard, boy, oh boy, exciting night here across the landscape, right? We got NBA back in action, of course, college. And I know, if I'm understanding correctly, we got a big NHL play you like here tonight as well.
Yeah, I do. I've got a nice card here. 4 games overall, 2 plays in college basketball. Unfortunately, we won't be talking about any of those on today's show. But 2 plays in the NHL, including a 5%, 35, and 16 in our history on 5% NHL plays. And since Dwayne mentioned he had a 5% in college basketball, hey, Dwayne, you could tell me what is it. I won't tell anybody.
Oh, yeah. Mime it. Just mime it, Dwayne. We won't figure it out anyway. Not a problem. Guys, bottom line, head over, visit Ralph, visit Dwayne, and visit Bryan Leonard. A couple of 5% best bets up and available, guys, across the sports betting landscape tonight over at WagerTalk.com. All right, let's dive in here. We're going to head out west for game number 1 tonight. Pac-12 action as UCLA traveling to Utah to take on the Utes. And this game hovering right around, what do we got, 7 right now for UCLA. 130.5 is the total in this one. 11 o'clock Eastern time tip. Well, couple of interesting things here, Ralph, with this game. Number one, we did see it back in January. It wasn't very pretty for Utah. UCLA handled their business. Now they've got to travel to take on Utah on their own home court. Not a great stretch here for Utah over the last couple of weeks. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, it didn't make my card, and it was close to being a best bet here. I really do like the under here. And obviously, 2 slow-paced teams, 2 teams that are just playing incredible defense. The reason I didn't use it was this. The first total was 136.5. It dropped 5.5 points. Now, the first game went under by 20-some points, so it's still in the frame, but I don't like giving away that much value in the rematch. But with that said, Ken Pom, UCLA number 2 efficiency. Ken Pom, Utah number 34. Tempos, both in the mid-200s, slow-paced. This Mick Cronin team is playing defense like Cincinnati used to play. Look at these last couple numbers. Last game might be the best defensive performance in college basketball this year. They held California to 22%. Joel Brown for the Bears shot 5 of 11 for 2 points. The rest of the California Bears shot 3 of 28 from 2 points. I mean, that's amazing defense. And you look at Utah. What Utah's done offensively has struggled. Defensive side of the ball, 3 of the last 4 opponents, they've held them to 33.9, 37.1, 44.4. Utah's offense, the last 6 games, 28.1, 39.1, 49.1. That was home against Colorado, 32.2, and 38.3. Defense travels, no real opinion on the side. I still think there's value playing this game under the total.
All right. Still thinking there is some value to the under. Hard to imagine this thing being a shootout, Dwayne, in any way, shape, or form. How are you looking at this one tonight?
Am I back on a show with Marco? Because now I'm going opposite Ralph here.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have to be a shootout for this game to go over. I mean, with a total at 130.5. So, and again, my first instinct is to always look at the total. That's been my bread and butter in college basketball. And so Ralph mentioned it. We do have 2 of the slowest paced offenses in Pac-12. So that makes you think under. Then we look at that first meeting, as Ralph also mentioned. The posted total was 136.5. They only combined for 117 points. So again, it makes you think under for the rematch here. And the odds makers opened this total 6 points lower than the first meeting. And I just think that is an over-adjustment. There were only 19 combined free throw attempts in that first meeting, and they only hit 10 of them. So I think it's pretty safe to say we should see a bunch more points from the free throw line in this one. And then I look at Utah's conference home games. Utah's only had 1 conference home game this season where they combined points were under 130. And that was against a Cal team that ranks dead last in the Pac-12 in both offensive efficiency and tempo. It's not quite as cut and dried on the UCLA side, but only 3 of UCLA's 8 conference road games saw the teams combine for less than 130 points. Oregon State was one of those games, and they ranked second to last in offensive efficiency and tempo in the Pac-12. So I don't even consider that game. Just for comparison, Utah ranks 6th in offensive efficiency and 5th in defensive efficiency in the Pac-12 in Ken Palm's ratings. And when you look at UCLA's conference road games versus teams that rank in the top half of the conference in offensive efficiency, and again, Utah's right there at number 6, 3 of those 4 games ended with more than 130 points scored. So I think this total's been adjusted just a little bit too much from that previous matchup. It looks to me like this game should end up in the low 130s, so I lean to the over here.
All right, leaning towards the over. So we got 1 under, 1 over here, Brian. You know what your job is. Let's go. Where are you rolling in this one here tonight, Brian?
Well, unlike these two gentlemen who make a living off of totals, I don't do a lot of totals in college basketball, so nobody's going to win that argument. I will say, if you follow me at all, you know I'm a big proponent of the shot quality numbers. I like to look at things that are not in the final scoreboard, a different way to handicap the games. And take a look at these Bruins. I want to find a lot of luck involved in this, and I'm trying to find teams that have some value in that regard. Bruins are 2-4 straight up in shot quality yellow games. Now, those are the games and contests that could have gone either way. You look at the shooting, season-to-date shooting percentages based on the shots taken, and shot quality comes up with those numbers. In 3 of their 4 losses, UCLA should have won. Only Baylor has a legitimate win over UCLA this season. That really impresses me. That's why at this point, I think UCLA is the team to beat in the tournament this year. I just go out and crown them right now. I think they're the best team. 12 straight games, UCLA has had a post-game winning percentage of 68% or higher. So they're winning, and they're all legitimate wins. Utah 6-2 in those yellow shot quality metrics, so they've been a lot luckier than the Bruins have on the season. They dropped 3 straight heading into this contest with post-game winning percentages of 37, 28, and 29. So not only are they losing, they haven't been competitive as of late. Now, not to say that Utah isn't going to win this game. They have to be able to win it by keeping UCLA out of transition. The Bruins ranked 215th in shot quality points per possession in the half court, while the Utes ranked 40th defensively in the half court. If they could keep UCLA from running on them, and UCLA doesn't run a lot, if they could keep them from doing that, they could win this game. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to go against UCLA. UCLA is a team I think will win the game outright, and the points are kind of expensive considering they won the first game, but I would still lean towards the -7 with UCLA in this one.
All right, there we go. A couple of totals plays. We got a side play, and if I'm not mistaken, Brian Leonard just said the Pac-12 is going to win the championship. All right, let's go on here, if we can, to the Big Ten. In fact, and in an intriguing matchup, this one being Northwestern taking on Illinois. Illinois laying 6 in here. The total is 136 and a half in this one. And my goodness, 136. Ralph, you weren't big on the last game in the Pac-12 getting anywhere near that 130 mark. I don't know. You going total or side in this one? It is an intriguing Big Ten matchup here.
Well, I lean under. If you look at Northwestern, you have to lean under. A poor offense, a great defense. They've won 5 straight as a dog, beating Wisconsin on the road, beating Ohio State on the road, beating Purdue, Indiana, and Iowa at home. So, Joe, I had to go to the database. Since 2012, there have only been 45 teams that have won 4 straight as a dog. Those teams have gone 23-20 ATS the next game. Only 8 teams. Northwestern is one of 8 teams that have won 5 straight as a dog since 2012. They've gone 3-1. And not related to this game, The only college basketball team since 2012 to win 6 straight games outright as an underdog was Oregon State in that incredible March Madness run a few years ago. So we all do remember that. Obviously, Illinois playing with revenge. They were a 3.5 or a 4-point favorite at Northwestern in the opener. And now they're playing this game without Terrence Shannon. You look at their last 2 games, they lose against Indiana and they beat Minnesota only by 9 without him. He's unlikely to go here. But I still do lean Illinois, despite the unranked team being the favorite here. I look at Northwestern, and when I gave you the schedule of who they beat, listen, I watch a lot of Ohio State games. It looks like they quit. They beat Wisconsin on the road by 2, and then those other 3 games were at home. So now, after a 3-game home stretch, you're playing with the confidence. You got the 20 wins in your last win. You know, you're going on the road in this situation. The reason I didn't make it a play, there were 2 reasons. Free throw shooting is one. Northwestern, a great free throw shooting team, number 57 as far as percent goes in the country. Illinois, a very poor free throw shooting team, number 311. Chris Collins is, if they're behind and they start following, Illinois as a favorite in this price range does concern me. And one other note is that Northwestern has a lot of pressure. They do great turning people over. In fact, defensive turnovers, looking at KenPom numbers, they're number 32 in the country. And Illinois, not a very good team taking care of the ball. They're number 217 in turnover percentages. So while those things keep me off making a play, Illinois still best bet worthy for this show. It will be my best bet. And I'm going to lean with the under. Even though Illinois does like to press the pace a little bit, you know, we've seen them score 78 and 71 with the shortened roster. And they play again on Sunday. Lean Illinois under, and best bet for the show, I'll recap it in a few minutes, will be Illinois.
All right, Dwayne, so explain to me why you're on the over in this game, because I know it's coming, so go ahead. Don't you dare tell me you agree with Ralph on the under here. What do you got?
Now, Joe, is it like me to agree with anybody on this show? I mean, come on. So, again, I'm looking at this game from a totals perspective. But a quick side note, though, I do find it interesting that the last 2 meetings in Champaign had identical final scores. And that was Illinois winning 73-66. You know, what are the odds of that happening? But anyway, so when I look at Northwestern's conference road games, I look at the ones against the teams that are in the top half of the conference in tempo, like Illinois. Illinois ranks 2nd out of 14 teams in the Big Ten in tempo, and Northwestern has 5 such games. And what I see is that despite having an average posted total of 136.5, which is almost exactly what we have in this game, 4 of the 5 games went over the total, and they didn't just go over, they went way over by an average of 15.3 points per game. Illinois' conference home games are more of a mixed bag, and that there really wasn't a pattern that stood out to me when I looked at them. They played to 141 total points with Michigan State, and they're a team that plays good D and at a slower pace. But they also played to just 129 points with Rutgers, another team that plays good D and at a slower pace. They played to 148 points with Wisconsin, a team that ranks dead last in tempo and 12th in offensive efficiency. So like I said, no real rhyme or reason to the totals results for Illinois' conference home games. So I don't have a strong read on this one. Illinois at home, playing with revenge. They want to run and gun. Northwestern hasn't fared all that well when trying to slow down faster-paced opponents on the conference road. But on the other side, this has been an under series, with all 5 meetings over the last 3 seasons going under. And Northwestern has played under in each of its last 6 games. So this is about the smallest of leans I could possibly give, because I'm bucking a current team trend and a series trend. And I'm just somebody that hates bucking streaks like that. But I do lean ever so slightly to the over in that game.
All right, leaning towards the over. Bryan, I will not ask you about the total here, because these two have done a fantastic job of disagreeing with each other the entire show. So why don't you, Ralph, you want to grab that? All right, good stuff. Tell me here, Bryan, this is not the same Illinois team, I believe, that lost, what was it, back in January 3rd or 4th to Northwestern here. They got some players are in the lineup. Guys are no longer on the team. What do you think we're going to get here in this rematch?
Yeah, that was a dominating win for the Wildcats. To win by 13. Shot quality numbers said they should win by 17. Just on a side note, you joke about the Marco and Dwayne disagreeing. Rolf will back me up on this. Marco hates it when anybody disagrees with him on anything. And I'm really surprised he's still doing shows with Dwayne. He must really like Dwayne personally. I would have thought he kicked him off with all the shows he was on by this point. But yeah, that's one guy that does not like to be wrong on anything. But yeah, when I take a look at this from the Northwestern standpoint, they're 5-2 straight up on the conference road, which has been very nice. But when you take a look at the shot quality numbers, they should have lost to Wisconsin and Ohio State. And Rolf talked about Ohio State throwing in the towel and not playing well. Wisconsin's not exactly tearing it up either. So even though they've done well on the road in conference play, it is a concern. It's also a concern, as Rolf pointed out, and I did last week on a different game, Northwestern with 20 wins. Teams after winning their 20th win tend to not play as well in the following game. A lot of times that's their goal on the season. You've got an Illinois team who's very good at home, 13-2 straight up at home. They also lead the nation in shot quality, points per possession defensively in the half court. You're not going to score a lot against Illinois in the half court. Northwestern's in for a tough day. Don't want to lay the 6 with Illinois. I think the line's inflated here because of some of the things we've talked about. But I don't want Northwestern here. I think the winning streak ends here. But I think Illinois gets the win, but I can't lay this number.
All right. Can't lay the number. Thinks Illinois gets the win. No, we got an over. We got an under. And, well, we've got one more game here on tap tonight that we are going to take a look at. And that's going to be another out west with USC taking on Colorado here. And Colorado, slight favorite here, 2.5 the total, 140.5 on this one. 9 o'clock Eastern time tip here. And boy, oh boy, talk about up and down. Colorado this year, kind of head scratching there just when you think they can turn a corner. Yikes. But what do you think here? You trust SC on the road, Ralph, to handle business in Colorado?
I'm torn in this game. I'm going to give a lean on Colorado just because you look at USC, their last 5 or 6 road games, lose at Washington State, lose at UCLA, lose at Arizona, lose at Oregon, lose at Oregon State. The only road game they've won was against Arizona State. You look at Colorado, home road dichotomy, only 2 losses at home. They lost to Arizona State early in the year. Then they lost to Washington in a head-scratching loss back on January 19th. KenPom has these teams close, 48-52. But to me, when I watch them, USC comes across as the better team. Colorado, a better defense as far as the numbers go, a poor offense. USC more balanced. I like the players on USC. Boogie Ellis, the best player on the court. When you have a guard like that can control the game like he does, you want the ball in his hands late. So I lean Colorado. Dwayne said the lightest of leans. This is a situation for me that it really is just because the home road dichotomy has me on Colorado. It's the only way I can go. My eye test still says USC is the better team.
All right. Still, they've been great in conference play. Feels like a bit of a rock fight here, Dwayne, tonight. What do you think we get with these two teams?
Well, first I want to thank Ralph for picking a side in this game so that we don't disagree again. Normally I start my totals handicapping by looking at the conference road games of the road team and the conference home games of the host. I try to find patterns when they play teams of a certain tempo or a defensive efficiency or offensive efficiency or combination that closely resembles today's opponent. But I couldn't find anything that really stood out to me when I looked at this game from that perspective. When USC played faster-paced teams on the conference road, they were pretty consistent and ending with 146, 147, and 147 total points. And that was against the top 3 tempo teams in the conference, which are Arizona, Arizona State, and Washington. Who's number 4 in tempo in the Pac-12? That would be Colorado. Colorado's conference home games saw extreme results from a points scored perspective. 2 of their games saw 146 and 147 total points scored. But the other 5 conference home games all saw under 120 total points scored. So there was no in-between. That's a pretty big gap between 119 and 146 total points. The 7 Colorado Conference home games went under by an average of 17.1 points per game. And a margin like that is pretty hard for me to ignore. I also considered the first meeting of the season at USC last month. The posted total was 139.5, and they scored a combined 129 points. Nothing really stood out in the box score of that game other than that the three-point shooting was poor. They combined to shoot just 27.3% from long range. But neither team relies on the three-pointer very much, so even if we expect them to shoot it a little better this time, I don't really think it's going to have a big impact on the number of points scored. So since the first meeting stayed under and only had 129 points scored, and I don't really expect this game to play out much differently, I'm going to have to lean to the under in this one.
All right, leaning towards the under here in Colorado tonight. Are you feeling a side one way or the other here, Bryan, this one?
I do like a side a little bit better than everybody else here, and it's going to be my best bet. So I'm just going to wait and give the analysis right around the corner here. That way I can save us a little bit of time and get back with the best bet on this one.
All right, there we go, guys. 3 games broken down for you. A ton of games here tonight with a lot of course, postseason implications. It's time to figure out which one of these games tonight these guys like a little bit more than the rest. And Ralph, we'll kick it to you to start us off. Tell me exactly which one of these games do you like a little bit more than the others?
You know, I'm going to throw a curveball, Joe, and I said I was going to make Illinois my best bet, but after hearing myself talk through the game, it really wasn't best bet worthy. So I'm going to jump off that game and give you one of my actual client releases for tonight. It is game 798, Western Kentucky minus the 4.5 against La Tech. You look at this 5-game stretch, you don't have a bigger disparity than this. Western Kentucky, the better shooting team on offense by almost 2%. And defensively, over the last 5 games, La Tech allowing 51.5%, Western Kentucky allowing 41.8%. And if you look, you know, you can't really call it revenge if you were an underdog, on the road. Western Kentucky lost the first meeting. They were a 4-point dog in that game. And in that game, they led Louisiana Tech by 10 with 13 minutes to go. The game goes into overtime. And how about this? If you have a team that was up by 10, you've got a 4-point dog, and you get shut out in overtime 11-0. So Western Kentucky got skanked for the last 5 minutes in that game. That's the type of game they're going to remember. The home road dichotomy, the current 5-game stretch in this game, Hilltoppers for me as a best bet, and again, an actual 3% client release.
All right, good stuff there, Ralph. Appreciate that. Let's go, Bryan. I know you mentioned Colorado, right? So Colorado, USC, make it your best bet. Tell us which side do you like?
Yeah, once again, on today's card, I've got 4 plays, 2 college basketball, 2 NHL, including the 5%, 35-16 history-wise on NHL 5% plays. And we lost the last one. So we haven't lost back-to-back very often, as you could tell with that 35-16 record. So really excited about the NHL tonight. Get all 4 of them. I think it's an extra $4 of what you would pay for the 5%. Yeah, I'm going to go look at this game a little bit differently. And as I said earlier, I'm looking for teams that had some luck against teams that did not have luck. And when I take a look at the Trojans, they've been very lucky this year. When you take a look at the shot quality yellow games, they're 6-1 in those games. But based on the shot quality numbers, they should have only won once. So you've got a team that is really 5 games worse in the win column than what they've showed so far, and that's USC. You're looking at Colorado, they're 5-8 in those shot quality coin flip games. But when you take a look at the shot quality numbers, it should have been 8-5. So Colorado's got 3 more wins in my regard than what their record should be. So you've got a 9-win, a 5-3 is 8, an 8-win differential between these two teams. The Buffaloes, as Rolf said, strong at home, 11-2 straight up at home this season. They rank 13th defensively in shot quality, points per possession in the half. If they could keep, very similar to the UCLA game, if they could keep USC from running, which they don't do a lot of, they're going to win this game. I like this Colorado spot here. That's my best bet on tonight's show.
All right, there you go here, guys. Good, Ralph.
Joe, question. Is 5 and 3 equals 9? Is Vino teaching you math?
No. Well, you know Merrill does Vino's math, so you know it's going to be all screwed up anyway. God, Bryan, talk to us. Dwayne, tell us which one of these games here tonight you circled for a best bet, and remind the folks what you got rolling at WagerTalk here tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to the first game we talked about, the UCLA-Utah over 130.5 for the best bet for the show. I just think the odds makers, they opened this total 6 points lower than the first meeting, and I just think that's an over-adjustment. As I mentioned earlier, there were only 19 combined free throw attempts in that game. They only hit 10 of them. I think we're going to see a bunch more points from the free throw line in this one. Looking at UCLA's 8 conference road games, only 3 of them did the teams combine to score, under 130 points. Oregon State was one of those games, and they're second to last in conference in offensive efficiency and tempo. So I just threw that game out. Just for comparison, Utah ranks 6th offensively and 5th defensively in the Pac-12. And then you look at UCLA's conference road games against teams that rank in the top half of the conference in offensive efficiency. Utah qualifies there also as their 6th. 3 of those 4 games ended up with more than 130 points scored. Looking at Utah's conference home games, they only had 1 conference home game this season where the teams combined under 130 points. That was against a Cal team that ranks dead last in the Pac-12 in both offensive efficiency and tempo. So again, I just think this total's been adjusted a little bit too much from that first matchup. I see this game ending up in the mid or low 130s, so I would lean to the over. And again, don't forget to go to dbbets.com today. Get that 5% max bet for tonight. It's backed by a 10-0 ATS angle this season, and also an NCAA-wide situational angle that's 68% this season. And you also got a coupon discount, DB100, for my March Madness package.
All right, there you go, guys. And our friends at the Gold Sheet, as a matter of fact, goldsheet.com, they've got a play they're looking at as well. And it is going to involve Robert Morris and IUPUI, who all of a sudden this year can score points. They are looking, shocker, over the total in this one here, as 8 of IUPUI's last 10 games, they've seen more than 140 or more. In fact, the first meeting saw 147 points. And they are just 4-25 in the last weekend of the season. So let's be realistic. Is anybody playing defense? The answer is probably not, which is exactly why the over is the play from our friends at thegoldsheet.com. And we encourage you guys to head on over to thegoldsheet.com. Great information, great write-ups, everything you need to be a more profitable handicapper over at thegoldsheet.com. All right, I'm going to go out west here tonight, and for the life of me, I unless I'm missing something, St. Mary's laying 19.5 to Pacific seems a tad over the top, given the fact that, in all likelihood, the winner of this Western Conference, the title, is going to happen this weekend when they have to play the Zag St. Mary's and avenge a rare loss this year against them. So, I do think there might be a little bit of looking past Pacific here, not to mention that I can't remember the last time St. Mary's beat anybody by 20 points or more, and I don't think it's going to happen here tonight. So I will take the 19.5 in this spot here with St. Mary's and Pacific. And to recap once again, Ralph changing his mind, doing a little head fake here. Started with Illinois, ended up in Western Kentucky. Don't ask me how. It just ended up that way. He is laying the 4.5, while Dwayne, he's going to go up and over with UCLA and Utah tonight. Thinks the over adjustment is just too much. 130.5 is that number. Brian Leonard says, give him Colorado at home. Screw you, Andy Enfield. Against USC. I'm going to take the 3 touchdowns here that St. Mary's is giving Pacific and our friends at the Gold Sheet. They're going to go up and over that 134.5 with Robert Morris and IUPUI. Now, you heard these guys tell you over at WagerTalk.com. Both Bryan got a 5% best bet in the NHL. Dwayne, he's got a 5% best bet ready to roll in college hoops. Ralph is invested in all 3, the NBA, college basketball, as well as the NHL. A lot going on here tonight, guys, and there is no reason not to make it a very profitable Thursday. Partner up. Visit Ralph Michaels, Dwayne Bryan, and Brian Leonard over at WagerTalk.com here today. And on behalf of all 3 of these guys, we appreciate the time. We'll be back again tomorrow as we wind down the regular season of college hoops. Monster final weekends of sorts here coming up. Come back and join us. We'll get you ready for it. And on behalf of Ralph, Brian, and Dwayne, best of luck with all the plays here tonight, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good luck.
While the 2022-2023 football season officially ends today on Super Bowl Sunday, for many sports betting fans, college hoops in February and March is one of the most exciting times in sports. Whether you love college hoops or just want to pad your bankroll heading into March Madness, we have the perfect special. Starting today, get the rest of February with any WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $149 each. So to finish off February for as little as $9 per day, head over to your favorite WagerTalk and or Sports Memo handicappers page and grab this limited time offer. This offer includes not only college basketball, but also any NBA, NHL, UFC, soccer, golf, and NASCAR that your favorite WagerTalk and or Sports Memo expert handicaps. No coupon is needed. The earlier you sign up, the more days you get.